Alright, I'll show you in this video how to make, cut the base for the Zoetrope device and make the slotted wall that goes around the edge. So to begin, if you don't have a coffee can lid, this is a 6-inch diameter. Diameter, of course, is just like across the center. Its widest point, that's 6 inches. And I happen to have this old plate that the kitties eat from that is also 6 inches in diameter. So if I just take this and trace it, hold it down, trace that, the knife, actually I'm going to put this back down here. The thinner, like the craft knife, also known as X-Acto knife. The blades are really thin. I've got a smaller like utility knife. Bigger utility knives, the thickness of the blade will help because the thinner blades bend when you try to cut through something like foam board. So I would suggest you can use the X-Acto or other kind of craft knife, but just cut through gradually. There, and then I'm going to cut away there. So I'm doing that, it helps, I find. So once you've scored it a few times, be careful going through this because you can see even like cutting 3 times it's not quite through because it's a thick material. And it just takes some time. So I can get like a little bit notched out. I can get like a lead edge on the beginning of that. Be careful, you see where my thumb is at. If I'm like this and putting pressure on it, if this slips, boop, that's right in the way, and you don't want to do that. I've done it before, trying to hurry through some work, and I regretted it. It hurts a lot when you cut yourself with one of these things, especially if you're trying to cut, you're pressing hard, you'll cut yourself a lot harder than you would ever want to. Okay, enough about that. Back up. Good. Okay, take your time, be patient. Don't hurry through this. And as long as I am close to an even circle, I'll be fine. And there's Joey. Wants some food, has to wait. Go. Got my circle. Okay, I can set that aside for the moment. I cut 2 strips of black paper Made them just a little more than 3. I think my knife might have shifted a little bit. I made them like a 3 1/8 to account for the thickness of that material. It's actually 3/16 of an inch, but it's fine. All right. Make sure this doesn't slide around on me. So it's the same size as the one as the small animation strip I just made. So the length I know is going to, like, the exact like circumference is 18 1/4. So I just need to make sure that, similar to the animation strip, this overlaps. You see them a little bit. I think I kind of missed a little with my measurement, but that's okay. I'm going to dot there. So again, I'm taping it to I'm doing this on the mat so I can use the grid line to keep it as straight as I can when I'm doing this. And then I can see this goes all the way around, overlaps. That's good. Now, because this is structural, I'm going to put some glue on it. And put this dot on the side, hold that down while it dries. Good. Get even there. Maybe not that critical to do that, but just want to make sure that it stays flat. Okay, so while that's glue's drying, I leave that taped, and then I'm going to cut the slots so they come down 1.5 inches. So what you can do is measure down 1.5, and I'm using it's actually a gray pencil so that it shows up on the black. Pencil will show up like graphite is reflective, so it'll show up. But if you've got something like a white colored pencil, gray colored pencil, you could use that too. Maybe one of your, you got a little brother or little sister who's got some art supplies you can borrow. But return them. You don't want to take art supplies out of a child's hands. Okay. So I put 3, I've got a shorter straight edge than my piece of paper, so I put 3 marks down at 1.5 so that I can do the line in 2 different stages. That's good enough. Alright, now I'm going to take the animation strip I just made. This is kind of how one of those demo videos I found on the internet does it. You just line this up. So I'll align the animation strip like that. Oops, I don't want to put it right on the line. There. Okay. And then I can take my I had a really small one, oh well. There it is. Use my gray pencil. Okay, so that is good. So you need the number of slots has to be the same number as the animation cells, or if you make a Zoetrope device that functions well, if you want to make more animation strips, you need to make sure that the number of cells in your animation strip matches the number of slots. That's kind of how it works. So I'm just going to draw up here. There. Okay. All right. So on the end piece here and here, I'm going to have a slot. I think first I'm just going to do the others here. And so what you can do, you want it to be 1/8 of an inch. You can measure with a ruler 1/16 around. Make sure my pencil is sharp. Good. So you could also, I mean, if you, there we go, just 1/8 of an inch, tiny marks. You want to know what 1/16 of an inch on either side of the line, which will give me 1/8 of an inch. If you did not learn fractions well in school and you need to, like, what does he mean, 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch? That's okay. I got out of high school, they let me graduate without really knowing math, and I had to learn it in college, which is, math you can do. Don't ever tell yourself that you just can't do it. A lot of people a long time ago had to figure it out from scratch. All you need to do is learn how to apply certain systems or processes. But if you think like, not sure what 1/8 of an inch is, you could always look up divisions of an inch on the internet. You all are very fortunate that you have a handy encyclopedia available to you at all times. We had to go to the library and look stuff up if we, unless we were lucky enough to have a book in the house that had the information we needed. Good. There. Yep. There. Okay. So the slots don't need to be very wide, just 1/8 of an inch. Just enough that you can get a little quick line of sight through to the inside of the Zoetrope. Okay. this. By the way, don't use, if you have a drafting scale, don't use it as a straight edge for cutting, because there's nothing, there's really like, this is like lays flat against the table, or like against the sheet you're working on. It's very easy for the blade to trail up and start cutting into the plastic, and then you start to obscure the measurements, the markings for the measurements on there. So use metal to cut. So what I'm going to do here, there. Keep this from sliding on me. Down the line. Down the line. And there. And out you go. There's my slot. And so on and so on and so on. If I do this, I can see with that light gray, like I can see the line. I can see that I've got the straight edge aligned parallel to the line. So when I go over and do this one, I can't see it. If you want to, you could cut all of them in this direction. Which is, would be efficient. I need to change this blade. You notice your blade is starting to kind of tear your paper, and you are overdue for changing the blade. It's better to change the blade than to wreck the work. Now, one thing I also can do with this, if I find it's getting like the point, you lose the sharpness of the point fastest. If I angle this down flatter, I can get to more like the edge that's still sharp. Okay, patience as you do this. Do a good job. Don't do a bad job. You don't want that. Oopsie. Something. Okay, so I'm going to cut a 16. I'm going to cut half off of this. This is the end piece right here. Sliver. So that when I wrap this around, oh, I have to cut that off. What I was thinking didn't really make any sense. Okay, so then alright, so I cut all of these this way using the straight edge, lining it up so I can see the line and keep it straight. Then to do the opposite edge, I flip it over and then do this. There. these are close, it's going to work. You know, you can make them as close to all 1/8 of an inch wide as you can. Okay. If you cut over a little bit, it's okay. I'm going to make sure that I get all of it. See, be careful tearing it. I see that was right on the drafting dot. Slightly difficult. Yeah, be careful about tearing your paper. Make sure you cut all the way through. If you get impatient, as I just did there, you can just rip the paper, and then it's not going to be a neat edge. All right, there we go. And you know what? That's because I cut them all both on the same side. I need to cut this one wider. Good. There we go. This is a challenging bit here because you want to get it nice and tight, and it always wants to crawl up. So what you do is you take a piece of tape, drafting dot, even just to have one, like now you also cut this at an angle, so it's going to be, you know, so it's sort of easy to like angle the knife in, and I cut that somewhat at a diagonal. If I put it just like a drafting dot there, and then just put this down, and bring it up like that, that will help keep this, it's slipped. There, well that'll help keep it in place for me. So I think what I need to do is I need to wrap this extra bit around there. Actually, I'm going to cut it because I don't need it to be that much extra. It's just going to cover up those slots. here. Make sure that's not going to come around and obscure any of this. Alright, so this is this part right here that I'm doing gets challenging because trying to keep this thing in place while you wrap it around tightly is not necessarily easy. I also want to just make sure that I have it in position. That. It's a little too close. Looks like there needs to be a teeny bit of a gap, so when you fold it up, yeah, watch that. Put that back down. We'll do it this way. Folded. There. Good. Nice and flat on the bottom. Put another one like there. And another one there. Hey. So I can wrap this around a little bit. And then put that guy up like that. Bring this around a little more. Make sure that the bottom edge of this black slotted piece of paper is flush to the bottom there. Good. Another. That. Good. There we go. Yeah, so just do it in place in stages. You put the drafting dot, stick the tape or drafting dot down to the bottom of the disc, and then pull this around and press it down flat. And this is like a demo to make sure that I've got it. This needs to be tight enough that my slots, especially on the end here, are going to line up. And that looks okay. Yeah, you see this is a, if my measurements are off, measurement is off just a little bit, this part of the wall could be a little bit larger. It'll still work if like that's a little bit bigger right there. I probably need to go back around and make sure I have it like really tight. Like that. There, that'll work. Yeah, so this, yeah, if there's like some variation in either like the way you cut this, this is like slightly, like if the disc ends up slightly bigger than the, than the shape you drew there. Let's see. Actually, that's 6. Well, it doesn't take much, but you can see that there's a little bit of difference there, but I would keep the slot the same width. Don't make this a gigantic slot just to, the slot is more important than that width of that wall, I guess. But that'll still work. So if you get that kind of a result, it'll still work. From here, I would maybe put some glue in there. You'd probably have to, or what you can do is like take this off. Maybe take both of these off. Careful that you don't wreck the whole thing. Don't do this if you're feeling impatient or in a hurry. Take a deep breath, it's gonna be okay. Wet, like liquid glue, rubber cement, glue stick. If I just put a little bit of stuff here. You don't have to be super neat about it, but if you stick this down, and then watch that, don't get that all over your table. Put this back, put the tape back down, bring this one back. Tape back right there. Okay, and then a little glue here to keep these guys together. Yeah, so. Together, stay put. All right, that is that. If I thought about this ahead of time, I would have found like a center to that. As long as you approximate center. Like if I do this, I'm gonna be careful setting that there. If I bring this down, get it to where it's like really like it's true width. Be careful. That's not quite right. So don't just assume if you make one mark you've got it right, because that's actually not quite in the right spot. You want to do like 3. Zero in on this. So if you do this like if you cut a square, you can find the center of the square and then you can cut the circle off of it, keeping the plate right in the middle. Then you probably have it, but that's better. If it's, if it's close, it'll work. If it's too far off center, it's going to wobble a lot when you turn it. So just be careful when you're cutting the center, when you're figuring that out. And in terms of punching a hole in there, you might just do that before you put the paper on. Okay, that is how I would make this wall. And then watch the videos, re-watch the videos, and like the ones from the internet. I want to make these other ones, these new ones, because reviewing the class sessions from last semester, the video quality is a little bit too low. So I hope this helps.